federal government is a problem. Trying to be as nice as humanly possible. After all, we're about to introduce the future governor of the great state of West Virginia here, so I'm going to try to be as nice as humanly possible, but the federal government sucks. It's really bad, and now we have to rely on states themselves instead of coordinating with, working with the federal government. Now we need them to work against it, and that friggin' sucks. Joining me now, Patrick Morrisey, future governor of the state of West Virginia, current attorney general of the state of West Virginia. Okay, Mr. Attorney General, what exactly is the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission? What are they doing?
Well, there are a couple things that are going on, but I want to start and say, right now, when you look at the collection of federal government policies and proposals coming out of the Biden administration, the level of insanity is obviously way off the charts. And I could talk about, and we're going to talk about the Fourth Circuit. We're going to talk about the integrity in women's sports. We could talk about DEI. We could talk about the electric vehicle policy. Insane is a charitable word for what these people are doing. And I think that if you don't think they're trying to destroy our country, our way of life, eliminate our freedoms, undermine our Constitution, this is how you draft up a set of ideas to dramatically harm our nation. And I will tell you, we're standing up, we're fighting back. I'm suing as much as I can. Just yesterday, I think, as you saw, we're going to talk about it, I joined with, it's like 6 attorneys general. We're suing over the Title IX rules. We had other lawsuits in the past. We're going to have more. We're going to go up to SCOTUS to fight back against the absolutely ridiculous Fourth Circuit decision. So look, a lot to unpack here, but I will tell you, anyone in America should be concerned. That's why you need strong Republican governors, strong conservative attorneys general stepping up and saying, no, we're not going to let the federal government completely destroy and subvert our Constitution.
I'd almost forgotten about the Title IX stuff. We covered it last week, but I was too busy focused on the fact the federal government's going to try to make everyone have their pronouns in there that I forgot about the Title IX madness. Explain what they tried to do and what you guys are doing to stop it.
Yeah, so as many of you watching know, Title IX, which was passed in 1972, was originally designed to provide for expanded opportunities for women. And you could talk about a lot of women who have gone through, participated in athletics, and they talk about the value that it's provided for them, being part of a team, being a leader, ultimately a lot of successful female business women. They were able to rely on that development of the leadership skills, rely on the participation on that team in order to really do some incredible things with their lives. So you have this dynamic where Title IX was supposed to provide enhanced opportunities for women. And historically, all of that's been on the basis of sex, biological sex. And in fact, just like in West Virginia, when you segregate out sports teams, when West Virginia, the legislature said that the distinction of determining whether someone's a male and whether someone's a female should be based on biology, not gender identity. And that's because there are clear distinctions in biology. On the sports side, men are stronger, men are faster, and there are clear differences that would give males an advantage, even if that male would take puberty blockers. All of this comes together to a halt in the Title IX regs, where they're dealing with safe spaces and locker rooms and sports, where they're trying to put a gun to the head of the state institutions that are collecting federal dollars and say, you comply or you won't get the money. What my office and others are doing is saying that's absolutely unacceptable. That's not the way Title IX was designed. What they want to do is rewrite Title IX to blur the distinction between men and women and to come up with this new amorphous gender identification concept, which obviously they try to determine that there are 300 different ways you can identify yourself. Well, the law wasn't written that way. That's why the states are stepping up.
How do we, I know you're going to be governor soon, or at least I hope you are. How do we break up this terrible relationship, this abusive relationship we have with DC, where they do this and it always comes back to the money? Hey, here's an insane rule. We're going to make you follow it. If you don't, we'll take the money away. We'll take the money away. How do we stop that? How do we end that abusive relationship? How do we stop needing their money?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And a lot of it comes back to the fact that the states for too many years were willing participants in this scheme where the federal government grew its power and grew its financial resources. My vision for how states should fight back into the future is pretty straightforward. Take the model that we've put in place successfully as attorneys general and sue the bejesus out of the federal government, the woke left, and try to stop them from a legal perspective. But then you need the governors to step up from a financial, from an economic, from a policy, a PR perspective, political. And you need 20 or 25 governors to stand up and say, look, enough is enough. The states are going to resist the efforts on the part of the feds to use the power of the carrot and the stick. And that you're not just going to condition these state monies based upon these acceptance of wild policies from the feds. But you're going to need 20 or 25 states to step up and say, no, I'm going to be one of those states. As governor, I'm going to make sure that I can recruit as many of my colleagues as possible to just say no to that kind of coercion.
Let's talk about, speaking of West Virginia, this appeals court and saying you have to cover these crazy procedures, that not covering these crazy training procedures is discriminatory.
Yeah. You know, it's amazing. This is another example, right? And we're going to have to take this up to the high court. So just this week, in an 8-6 decision, so they went en banc, the full body of the Fourth Circuit said that West Virginia was required to pay for transsexual surgeries. And we've been fighting that. And our argument was pretty straightforward and said, look, we have a lot of people with cancer. We have people with congestive heart failure. We have people with diabetes, high blood pressure. We have opioid disuse. We have all of these issues. And a court's going to come around and say, for all these medical necessity issues and serious diseases, that you're going to force our state to not cover those in exchange for forcing transsexual procedures for Medicaid. Because remember, it's a choice that you have to make. The state only has a certain amount of dollars. You have to decide how many dollars you're going to put in order to get the match from the feds. And so to us, it's a very brutal choice to say, don't cover your people when they have these legitimate disease states versus here you go, you're going to force people to cover things that we don't want from a taxpayer's perspective. We're going to take that up, and I don't think that our state's going to be required to fund these transsexual surgeries.